Yes, guys, and a welcome from me. This is Championship Manager 0102 with another tip for you. I say tip, it's just my view on a perspective of the game, something that some people might not even be too familiar with. And as you can see, this is training methods. Now, it's funny really because a little while back I had a conversation with my brother about this, and he don't even touch training. And some people, they swear by not altering training whatsoever. Some people do. There are various views and people's perspectives of this. So let me just show you a real quick blast. Now, I go through phases. I tend to use training, if the truth be told. And when you first start up a game, I've started up a game with Man United here. Everybody will start in general, and your goalkeepers will start within a subsection right there. So that's the first gist of the training methods. Your general will consist of medium fitness, tactics, shooting and skills. Now, the goalkeeping, meanwhile, will consist of light, no shooting, light skills and intensive goalkeeping. So what I personally tend to do, right, is I will have gone through my squad, including the resis, players that I want to get rid of, players that I want to retain for as a youth, and I will do this, right? This is just my own perspective. So you've already got a few already set in here. You've got fitness already in, which is what it says on the tin. You've got fitness intense, everything else is light. You've got shooting, you've got skill, and then you've got tactics. Now, essentially, tactics are for defenders. They're for midfielders, and they're for strikers. And that is just players that are losing fitness. That is what it is essentially. You, of course, can make your own or alter one of these already. I tend to make my own. I mentioned this when you're training a new position. But you can make your own and do it like so. So let's hypothetically say you want to get all your... let's say you want to get all your youngsters working fucking hard, right? So you could do that, right? And they're all going to be intense. And then you could get all your fucking youngsters. So let's say Luke Chadwick. And then you can stick them in there. Now, when you've done any training at any point, when you make any alteration to this page, always click OK, so it saves. And there is obviously a side effect to doing what I've just said with the intensive thing, and that is they will not retain fitness, because they're overdoing it. They will not regain fitness at all. So I personally wouldn't advise it unless you're happy for a player to stay in the reserves. He will not get game time in reserves. He won't, and so on and so on. So that is one way you could do it. You may not want to be quite as brutal as an intensive course like that. You may want to say something like so, or like so, and so on and so on and so on. It's up to yourself. Now, of course, I mentioned this in a different video. If you want to make a new position, I would keep them at medium when you're doing a new position. Personally, okay. You may want to just make this something specific to what you want somebody to work on. Now, what you've got to remember is, right, if you look at this, your defenders, realistically, I actually make my own, and my own are something like this. So let's go tactics. I would rename it defense. Okay, I'll rename it, and I would normally do something like that and that. That is my own defence one, because defenders don't need shooting practice. Not really. I mean, you could even put that on none, in all honesty. But you could, in theory, that and that could be a risk. I feel. I think that is adequate. And then what I'll do is I'll move all my defenders, my key defenders. I'll move into there. I sometimes maybe make a simple one, because sometimes I put it in order, in age order, and I will do my 30 plus, just to keep my older generation working over there. So Dennis Irwin, for example, let's take Laurent Blanc out there and stick him in there, and so on and so on. It's another philosophy that I do. So that's what I personally do for defence. For attackers, very, very similar. I do something like that. That is what I do. So I think tactics-wise, you could, in theory, go for tactics. They need to work on tactics for sort of set play, corners, that sort of stuff. Whereas the shooting isn't applicable, really, for a defender. They could do some light, I guess. I would personally probably do that. And then I would do and then that's like so. Now, you may want to have two separate ones for midfielders, because you may have wingers, you may not. So, whilst it says skill, I would personally, for midfield centres, I would be looking at doing something like that. For an attacking midfielder, because the attacking midfielder needs, it's an important role, isn't it? Midfield is very, very important. That is what I do for midfield. If you're doing somebody for wingers, they need to, I mean, wingers might be something like that maybe. Maybe that's a bit too much. It's just what suits you. It's what suits you for what you want. There is always a risk element, of course. Now, if you have got fourth column attributes on, just remember, adaptability is one of many crucial attributes towards a player adapting to a new training regime, just like it is adapting to anything new, anything that you create. Ronnie Johnson, where would you play Ronnie Johnson? Would you put him in a defence training regime? Would you put him in an over 30? Sometimes I do it right, where I put them all at medium. Now, the problem about that is there's no point in my strikers learning tactics and my defenders learning shooting. There's no logic in that. There really isn't. On the vanilla version of CM, which is with no patches, no updates, anything like that, the training is a little bit more flawed than what it is when you use Nix Patcher, because Nix Patcher rectifies a few of those flaws. So that is that's the deal in terms of training regimes. I wouldn't personally alter that. Now, what you can do, you see, let's just look at those. Let's just look at that. You can look at attributes, and they will go. I believe green means they've gone up. Red means they've gone down, otherwise they're the same. So defensive, attacking. I don't think anybody's attributes will have gone down just yet. Yeah, because we've only just started. And so on and so on and so on. Okay, so that is the training drills. Now, there is one other thing you should look at as well. When you've got your coaches. Now, again, not everybody goes with this. Everybody goes with this. Some people don't touch it at all. Theoretically, you've got 6 coaches. You've got 5 coaches, and you've got your assistant manager. So go to your training. On your overview right here, so none of this, on your overview, the option of coaches is right there. And you can now set your coaches to what you want them to work on. So let's look at Jimmy Ryan, the assistant manager. Let's look at, you've really got to determine what you want him to coach on. Some people just leave it all as is. I sometimes do, sometimes don't. So this player here, David Williams, I would definitely be keeping him on. I'd be taking coaches off him, and I'd be definitely leaving tactics on him, because you can see tactical knowledge 20, but you've really got to work out the finer detail as to what these others really mean. I mean, there you go. Neil Bailey's very, very balanced. He's got no adaptability. I mean, I would get rid of him anyway and get a new coach in. So Tony Coton now. Recently, he's a goalkeeping coach, but I'll probably get rid of him, get a new goalkeeping coach with a goalkeeping of 20 at least, and then work on goalkeeping. So you've got skills. Now remember, your tactics are your defenders. Your skills are your midfielders. Your shooting is your strikers. Your goalkeeper, your fitness is your kids almost. You could technically, right, you could assign one coach for defenders. One coach, but the question is, right, forget your assistant for a minute. So let's take Mike Phelan. You would need someone with a really good coaching goalkeepers. They'd also need to have a good adaptability, because they're adapting to what you're going to make it. They need to work with youngsters, because they're going to work with goalkeepers. They need to have tactical knowledge, because a goalkeeper needs to have some. It needs to be tactics, defending corners. He needs to motivate. He needs to manage. He needs to have a level of discipline. A coach isn't quite as necessary for judging a player's ability and potential. It is still good though. And obviously, if it's your goalkeeping coach, you're not too fussed about outfield players. But then if you're looking for somebody for a defensive coach, so we said about a tactical coach would be, a tactical coach would be someone for your defenders, really. We said about tactical knowledge. Which one would be outfield players? I would say probably a midfielder, really. A midfielder and man management would be massive for outfield. Again, everybody's different. Some people don't touch this shit. They think it's just bullshit. And I suppose to an extent it probably is. But I am intrigued to know if anybody has any experience, any views, that sort of stuff, and share it with us all. Where would you have David Beckham? You know, Beckham is naturally, he's a winger. Where would you play him? Where would you play him? Very interesting. I'm intrigued to know then on anybody's history with regards to training methods. Hope you enjoyed the video. Till next time, take it easy.